Alright, FishAholics, welcome back to another video. Currently down here in Jacksonville, Florida right now. And if you've been following along, I'm on my journey south to Stuart. And I left Charleston yesterday. If you saw my last video, was there for a little while, did some fishing. Did pretty well, and I'm hoping we could do pretty well today in Jacksonville. I actually got here yesterday at like 2 o'clock. Still launched the kayak and went out there and just putzed around. And we did get on a little trout bite, nothing crazy. I'll show you a clip of that in a little bit. But I figured, you know what, I wanted to fish Jacksonville again because we did really well here last year, but it was in the spring. We call it like a gator trout. So I stayed at a cheap-ass motel last night. It was like really crappy, but it was like $8 for the night plus tax, so not too terrible. And usually I would just crash in the truck, but I kind of just bit the bullet. I was really tired and wanted to be well rested for our day out on the water today. And all morning I was kind of contemplating, should we wade fish early and then maybe kayak later? But I'm thinking, we're just going to launch it. That's probably our best option for today. So also there was a reason I skipped over Georgia, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit later in the video. But yeah, let's quit talking and let's rig it up, get her in the water. Let's do it. Alright, so the yak is in the water, launched nice and quick, and we've got a really hard running incoming tide. You can see like this water is pushing the yak right now up against the dock. And yesterday we fished an outgoing tide, and also the reason I skipped over Georgia yesterday was because my Georgia fishing license expired, my Florida license is still valid, and also if you saw that gator trout we caught last year in this very creek, no wonder why I'm back. So anyway, let's jump in, head up the creek with this tide, and see if we can catch some redfish or some trouts. Wow, look at all that incoming current. It's ripping. So we're heading up Clapboard Creek right now, and about like 2 miles up, there's like a flattish type oyster bar situation that we got going on. It's a good spot. That's where we caught our gator trout last year, and that's where I fished yesterday. There's a fish. Yeah, man. Woo! Decent trout. Heck yeah. All right, so far, so good. Took us about an hour to finally get our first bite. Had to change to like the new penny color, and probably only was fishing that color for about 15-20 minutes. All right, so that was pretty much about the highlight of yesterday's outing, and that was our first trout we caught, our biggest trout. And then after that, we got on a little bite, but they were all like super dinkers, like nothing crazy. And you see, now I was really surprised I didn't catch one redfish up in there along the oyster bars. But by the time we got out here, the tide was really low. And actually right now we're on this big flat here, and it was so low, this was completely dry. There was no water on it. And you can imagine up by those oyster bars, the water was extremely low. And I know redfish like, shallow water. They go into inches of water, I'm sure, but there wasn't really much water on top of the oyster bars. And I heard like on a flood tide, or when there's water up on top of the oyster bars, that's when they really kind of mingle around up there looking for shrimp or crabs or an easy snack. And this flat, it looks really juicy, and we really didn't have an opportunity to fish it yesterday. So we're gonna take a few casts in here, putts around, and kind of go with the tide just up the creek. Seeing something interesting up in this little like creek cove. There's like bubbles rising up from the bottom there. That could be a redfish stirring up the bottom. All right, no real signs of fish up in this little creek cove, so we're gonna head back out onto the flat and keep heading upriver probably. All right, so now I'm fishing just around this little like marshy island. It's really getting flooded nicely with this incoming tide. Only signs of fish I'm seeing though are mullet jumping around like goofballs. There's one. Oh, all right. First fish of the day, a little micro trout. Jeez, that thing is so tiny. It's kind of cool, I could feel him drumming. So many spots on him too. Really pretty little baby. All right, got the skunk out of the boat. Woo! Probably about a third the size of the one we caught yesterday. And you know, realistically for today, I'm not really trying to catch trout. I mean, if we end up stumbling upon, you know, a gator or, you know, a nice bite, then obviously I'll probably stay on it until it dies. I'll, you know, catch a few, but we're really just hunting for those reds. That's today's main goal. All right, we got a decent looking little creek mouth here. Take a few casts, see if anything is hanging on the edges where we've got a little bit of current sweeping by. You know, if I was a fish looking for a snack, that's where I would be. Come on, redfish, come on. You know, looks like we got better current on that side of the creek mouth, so let's make a move over there. Really hard to believe there's no fish right on this little grassy point. But we're gonna make a little lure change. I'm gonna take off this little Bass Assassin. I'm gonna try this power bait, like soft plastic jerk bait. Like, just check it out how realistic it looks. It looks exactly like a juvenile mullet. So we're gonna try it. Oh, just got a really good bite right on the edge of the grass, man, on the power bait jerk bait. Dang it, son. That could have been a red. Gonna try back on the other side of the creek mouth with this jerk bait. Maybe this is gonna be the hot ticket. We only took about like 5 casts and had a really nice bite on it. Whew. It's a red up in that grass. Definitely a red. It looks like he was chasing mullet too. I think I saw a tail. Come on, come on, come on, fish, come on. Come on. Oh, a fish crushed it as soon as it hit the surface, but he spit it out. All right, so that was pretty sweet. Our first like real sign of a redfish of the day, and he was pushing bait up into this grass, right on the edge of that grassy point on the edge of this creek mouth. And you know, as soon as we took our first cast in there with the little power bait jerk bait, we had a solid thump, but you know, if it was a small red, like that's a pretty long bait. It's about like 4.5, maybe 5 inches. So maybe he had trouble eating it, and that's why we didn't connect. But let's just keep doing what we're doing, working the edge of this creek mouth and possibly maybe go up a little bit. It looks like we've got another creek mouth that goes this way, and we're just going to try and focus, I guess, on those grassy points with just a little bit of current pushing around, and hopefully that's where some reds will be staging, looking for an easy snack. So let's keep at it. There's a fish. Something pretty small. Hey, looks like a baby red. Ooh, look at that gorgeous little fella. Caught him right on the edge of this grassy point at the creek mouth. It's a gorgeous fish. This is very possible the size of the fish maybe I saw tailing in the grass a little while ago, and you know, when he tried to hit this big jerk bait, like he could probably barely fit that in his mouth. But wow, what a gorgeous little fish. Whew. All right, hopefully we can get a bigger one. Sweet. So I switched to more of a natural color, because being that The tide is pretty much all the way up, and it just started going out. The water clarity got a little bit cleaner, or the visibility did at least. And since there's a lot of mullet around, I just figured, you know, hey, let's stick to a natural match the hatch presentation. And it worked. Hell yeah, finally got the skunk out of the boat. Woo! We're not going home skunk today, boys. Well, actually, you know what? I did catch that little trout, but we got a little trout and a little red. I mean, the red I feel like more accomplished, because that's what like we're really trying to figure out for today. That little trout was like pretty much like catching nothing. Another one. Woo! Yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo! That was the bite I've been looking for. I gotta put the drive in reverse and stay out of that spot. No, man. Typical. Should have kept pressure on him and not sit down, but I wanted to put the kayak in reverse because I didn't want to have that fish pull us over the spot, or say if there's more fish there, we would have spooked them all. All right, well, I didn't get too close to this spot, so hopefully we can have another opportunity. That was a nice fish. You hear that drag screaming? Oh, that's why we're out here, boys. All right, that creek mouth went a little dry, so we're just going up the creek a bit. And there's another nice little bend here with some current ripping around it. Come on, come on, come on, come on, redfish. Oh, dang. Rip my shadow off the hook. I am just not doing well today. There's a fish. That might be a nice red. Whew. Oh, now he knows he's hooked. Jeez. It didn't even hit hard. Whew, this is a surprise. Good thing we moved up the creek and just worked this little channel where it's slightly deeper. This has got to be a red. Oh yeah. If not, it's a gator trout. Whew. Oh, stay hooked, baby. Come on. Oh yeah, it's a nice red. Beautiful fish. Look at that, he's spinning the kayak. These things can pull, man. Such a nice, hard fighting fish. Jeez. Oh, these things don't know when to give up. Woo! That's a beaut. A beautiful brute. Whew, we got him finally. That was an epic battle on this light tackle setup. Whew. Look at that gorgeous fish. And he choked it. That is unbelievable. Whew. That is a tanker inshore red. it is. About an 8.5 pounder. Absolutely gorgeous. It's a long battle, so make sure she catches her breath. And there she goes. Woo! All right, it's 2:15, and it feels like our day is finally starting off pretty well. Only took a few hours, but that fish ate just what the little redfish ate, so they're probably really keying in on small little mullet like this, and it's just a little silver bass assassin sea shad on a, I believe, like 3/16 ounce trout eyes jig head. All right, so that's what I'm talking about. Let's head back up the creek. That fish pulled us all the way down about like 20 yards. That was crazy. It was an epic battle. And it's awesome that like I caught that fish kind of like more in the channel, because it seems like all the times that I've been red fishing more specifically, it's like I try and focus on the grass, but something I'm learning today is just try and work the channel. Like the channel is only like 4 feet. So like up here on the edge, it's like 1.5 feet. And then just right out there where there's a little bit of current going out, that's where that fish was hanging. And you know, there must be some oysters there. See, when this tide gets really, really low, then you know, I'll probably be able to see some of the oyster beds exposed. But that was just so fun. Let's just throw right back in here, see if we can get another one. Whoa, just saw a big blow up the creek a little bit. We're gonna make a run up there. Gonna have to try and be a little stealthy. I think right in there was where, whoa, he's over there. Saw him tailing right there. Come on, come on, come on. I spooked them. Spotted a red, pushing right up. There he is, right there. That was instant. That's crazy. As soon as it hit the water. Oh gosh. Wow, these Jacksonville reds are just beautiful. They're a little bit more orange colored from the ones we were catching in Charleston. Geez, so that was a close one. While releasing that fish, I almost dropped the GoPro and flipped the kayak. That was crazy. I was trying to get that perfect angle and I leaned over a little bit too far. But you know, it's so hot out here. Would have, you know, really felt good to get a little wet. All right, so unfortunately, after about another hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours fishing up in our little hotspot creek. So anyway, I guess we'll stop and of course fish any other decent spots we see on the way back, or if we see some fish activity. But you know, if nothing, then I'll just catch you guys back at the ramp. All right, sweet little outing. Hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, I am so hungry. I had like 2 granola bars out there and like 3 sweet teas. I'm ready to grab some grub and maybe grab a nap, and then we're gonna continue our journey south, possibly stopping at Palm Coast tomorrow and doing some fishing, not really sure yet, and then eventually Stewart. So be sure to subscribe to keep up to date, and also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it to help the YouTube algorithm thingy. And yeah, we're gonna learn a lot from today's outing. I'm stoked we caught a few reds in that same creek, and we learned a ton about how they like to stage on that outgoing tide. I didn't learn a whole lot from the flood tide, and I'm gonna have to edit out like a bunch of hours of skunking it hard, except for like that little 6-inch trout we caught. But that's the name of the game, so you never know what to expect. But all in all, great interesting day for me out on the water, and I hope you enjoyed that one sweet redfish catch of that larger one. That was just such an epic battle. And I'll put my tackle and equipment and my full rig down in the description, so be sure to check that out if you're trying to match kind of something what I'm doing, because I highly recommend definitely bring your kayak down here and go for redfish if you're a northern angler. You local guys know that these fish are just absolutely awesome. Or you know, if you want to match just my tackle, if you're heading down here, maybe get a guide or something, you're gonna need one for sure. They are a hard fish to figure out if you're a striper fisherman like me. But yeah, so I'm gonna get out of here. I'm starving. So like always, never forget, live to fish, fish to live.